You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K24. Myself, Mo Mootsie, alongside me, the three-time NBA champion, Mr. BJ Armstrong. BJ, how you doing? You surviving out there?
Oh, you know it. Real name, no gimmicks. Just getting ready.
Yes, sir.
Getting ready for tonight. For today. Talking a little basketball with my guy.
That's what we do. That's what
The
we
hoop
do.
genius.
Yeah, well, first of all, I got to say thank you to all the listeners. We just hit 10,000 subscribers on the Hoop Genius YouTube channel. So big up to yourselves.
Wow,
Big up to yourselves. I
wow,
appreciate each and
wow.
every one of you. I often think it's mad because, when you look at like huge people on the internet, right? So some people have like millions of subscribers. I got 10,000 subscribers now. In comparison to those millions, it doesn't seem a lot. But if you think about 10,000 people sitting behind my desk and watching me talk, that would be crazy, right? So big up to each and every one of you, 10,000. Shout out to you. Let's get to 100,000.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say 10,000 real. Got to put real.
In this day and age, you got to specify,
Hey. They authentic. These
Facts.
are our people. So
Facts.
You know what? Love, respect. Thank you. And we're going to keep it moving because, we just out here Mo, just giving the people what they want. So
100%.
Our fans
100%.
are real. I don't know what the other people got. I'm not here to count what the other, but I do know.
Don't get me started. Do not get me started.
Ours are real. They authentic, and they roll with us, and we roll with them. So it's good.
Facts. Well, let's talk about NBA All-Star. It's early in the year to talk about NBA All-Star.
Oh, wow.
But the announcement has just been made.
Okay.
That the 2025 All-Star game will be hosted by the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco. And that's not what I want to talk about. Adam Silver, in a press conference, said that the NBA is considering a Ryder Cup format, USA versus World All-Star game for 2025. I wanted to get your thoughts on this, BJ.
Mo, I am. I like to refer to, when you watch the game today, it's a true globalization of the game. That was the goal. Like,
shout out to David Stern.
Yes, the late David Stern, the NBA, which we're doing this years. I mean, the NBA has always done a magnificent job of trying to grow the game, right? They were going all around the world to play. It all came together in the Olympics in '92, where you have a globalization of the game. And when you look at the game today, Mo, and you look at the best players in the game and the way the game is played, it's a true globalization. You'll see Luka Doncic, you'll see Giannis, you'll see Jokic, you see Wembanyama, you see Lauri Markkanen, you see Shea Alexander. The list goes on and on and on and on. What's beautiful about the game is that you have the world bringing, here's Mo's word, their vibe.
Yay.
To the NBA. And it's a beautiful thing. Everyone is bringing their own energy, their own take on what a crossover looks like, and what an in and out looks like, and what a step back looks like. And Dirk Nowitzki brought what it looked like, from a perspective from Germany. Everyone's bringing their energy. Now, all of a sudden, we get to the All-Star game, and here it is. We're celebrating the game, I might add. We're celebrating the very best of the very best. And then, let's say, USA versus, what are we doing?
Well,
yeah. What do we do? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, what does make sense to me, Mo, is, okay, like, we have the Eastern Conference, we have the Western Conference. It's worked. Mo, it's worked. What was wrong with it before? Like, I don't know why we went to all these different formats. I think you and I talked about it before. You said they needed to spice things up and they needed to die. Well, Mo, like, it's getting to a point now where it looks to me they don't even want to play anymore.
No, they don't.
Okay. So I didn't understand why it changed in the first place. It seemed like the formula was it worked. You had the conferences. You had players who understood the assignment and carried out the assignment. And all of a sudden it started changing, and they got to explain to you the rules and who's winning this quarter. And then the players play the last. I didn't even understand what they were doing. So why not just, how about a 48-minute game? How about that, Mo? Just make it real simple. It's kind of like you got a great player. You're overcoaching it. You're overthinking it.
Yeah.
Just play.
I think for the players, they're friends who aren't all-stars in Cuba or in Mexico relaxing, and they've got to come in and work and talk to media and play in a game. So I get why they think like that, but I also don't respect why they think like that. Let's just go with this hypothetically. Team World versus Team USA. Is Joel Embiid still Team World, even though he committed to play for USA? Would he be on Team World or Team USA? I don't know. What would a Team World look like? In my head, we've got Shea, Luka, Wemby, Jokic, Embiid. Any changes to that?
It's pretty good.
And the bench ain't half bad either. You got Jamal Murray. You got Lauri Markkanen. Who else we got on the bench? We got Sabonis. We got Siakam. We got Porzingis, Josh Giddey, OG, Wiggins, Şengün in a couple of years. But I don't think that's necessary for the All-Star game.
It's a celebration of the game. The game is the celebration.
Mm-hmm.
That's the celebration. Like, how about the game? How about we allow the players who are, some of them have mastered the art of playing. Mm-hmm. Some of them have mastered it. Some of them are coming into their own. Okay. Why not celebrate the game and allow they're artists, right? Let these artists utilize their creativity in a format that works. Like, just give the artist the brush and let them work. Let them do their thing. We don't have to intervene at every opportunity. How about let's abide by the rules of all great coaches? Just get out of the way. Like, just allow Mo and BJ to talk about the game. That's it. Like, we don't have to get any rules. We don't even have to have two basketballs. How about just a court, two hoops and a ball, and let's play and allow the fans to celebrate the game. These players are incredible players. Allow their creativity to take us and take us and stir our imaginations to say, wow, when you watch Wembanyama, like, he's giving us some wow moments. Like, he's giving us some wow moments in these first, 7 to 10 games. Like, that's not good enough? Isn't that good enough? Like, isn't that what made Jordan Jordan? And isn't that what made Magic Johnson and Larry Bird? Your imagination was like, wow, I haven't seen that before. Like, Wembanyama is doing that now. He's capturing the imaginations of, you can just be an average fan. When I say an average fan, you don't watch basketball like Mo and BJ do every single day. But if you just watch a highlight of him, you'll have a wow moment. And that's, to me, that's what makes the game amazing, because it's authentic. It's authentic, and it's not forced. So, but that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Let's talk a bit about the NBA. BJ,
how about it? Oh, yeah, now you're talking. Now you're talking. Now you're talking, Mo.
So, Skims. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, are you still on that?
Man, after seeing Adam Silver get stopped in the street and tell the world he wears Skims, I don't know what to think anymore. But let's talk about the NBA. Player that's really stood out to me so far this season, making a leap, is Scottie Barnes of the Toronto Raptors. He had a tough sophomore season.
He was rookie of the year. What leap is he doing?
He had a very tough sophomore season in which he may have looked worse than he did in his rookie season. So, obviously
he was rookie of the year, and now he's making a leap.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this: if Ben Simmons comes out and starts shooting logo threes every game, is he making a leap? He was an all-star before.
What is this, like year 8?
Yeah. Is he making a leap in year 8?
Mo, Like, no, that's not elite. You're like, what took you so long? I want to ask him, what took you so long? Like, here's a guy at his size, he's got to be one of the fastest guys in the league.
You're talking about Ben Simmons here, not Scottie
Ben
Barnes.
Simmons. Yeah, I'm talking about Ben Simmons. If I remember correctly, he was an all defensive player, right? He's got to be first or second team, all defensive player. He's been he's been an all-star, what, 2 or 3 times by now.
Mm-hmm.
Tremendous passer, defender, plays in the lanes, can defend multiple positions. Well, Mo, it's only natural that you continue to expand your game, right? You either get better or you get worse, but you never stay the same. So my question to him is, from his perspective, okay, how are you going to grow your game? Like, Mo, every year, believe it or not, Mo, the defense is all the offense is always ahead, right? Because we don't know what the offense is going to do. Mm-hmm. However, Mo, let me tell you something. These coaches are so unbelievable. They spend all summer just scouting teams, their tendencies, players, their tendencies. And Mo, once they see a tendency and they know you don't make a change, guess what happens, Mo? It gets passed around the league. So Ben Simmons, as great as you came into this league, you know, because he was unbelievable. You know, he's still an unbelievable talent. However, the defense now has caught up with him and he hasn't made an adjustment. Mo, he hasn't made an adjustment. So my question to him would be, what are you doing? This is what the NBA is all about.
So back to Scottie Barnes. He's now in his 3rd year. His handle's improved a lot. He's shooting the 3 very comfortably. He's looking like he's now aware of his strength and what he's able to do physically against smaller defenders.
You know,
are you still saying the same thing about him? Or
you know what? I'm gonna say this about. I'm gonna say this what I see.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes you get better by subtraction. I think the subtraction of Fred VanVleet was good for Scottie Barnes. That's my.
He has the ball in his hands a lot more now.
Yes, no, that's what I see. Okay, now, no disrespect to Fred VanVleet, became an all-star, was an all-star. He won a championship. A really, really, really good player. Fred VanVleet, as you know, Mo, you heard me say that he's one of my favorite players. However, Scottie Barnes, you know, he's a player that needs the ball in his hands. That's just, it is what it is. Like, sometime, Mo, you know, you got to make a decision. That was a tough decision because Fred VanVleet is a really good player. However, if Scottie Barnes was going to continue to add to his game, you're going to have to give him the ball. Just like, you know, Scottie Barnes reminds me of a young Scottie Pippen. At some point, you got to put the ball in his hands. And I think it's his time. And he's responded. So, you know, not to take away anything from Fred. However, I think that's been the biggest change for Scottie Barnes this year is that he actually is playing. They're playing through him. And he's being allowed to make decisions earlier in the shot clock. A lot of times when you are receiving the ball on the second pass, you feel you have to do something. Now, I think he's not fighting to get the ball. And that's what it looks like to me, especially early in the season. So he's playing as the number 1 or the primary ball handler instead of being the secondary ball handler. And that's a big difference. It may not seem like a big difference, but that's a big difference. And I think Scottie Barnes has shown thus far that he can handle the responsibility of being a primary ball handler. So it's been a great start for him, and I think that's been the big difference thus far.
I think Schroeder was a great pickup for them as well. You know, the defensive pressure that he brings, picking guys up full court. And
Schroeder, yes. Schroeder, I agree with that too, Mo, because he plays fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I learned this from from Jerry West. And we were scouting, and Mo, as you know, I love, and our listeners, I love scouting. Like, that's one of my favorite things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just go to a game and then you say, oh God, what would I do with this player? And you try to visualize how you put all these pieces together. And I remember sitting there and Jerry kept saying, man, this guy's a Clydesdale. This guy's a thoroughbred. This guy's a quarter horse.
What?
Yeah, exactly. So it was like 4 games. We were watching like 4 games. So after about the second game, I was like, Jerry, what's a Clydesdale? What's a quarter horse? Like, what are you talking about? He was like, okay, let me tell you. You know, talk to Jerry. He said, let me tell you something, okay? When you're scouting, when you learn how to scout, young man, you got to put the pieces together. You know, if you're going to build a big team and you're going to have a team full of Clydesdales and big horses, then you put together the big horses. But you don't start mixing the quarter horses with the Clydesdales, with the thoroughbreds. And what I mean by that is everyone's playing at their own speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fred VanVleet plays the game at a different speed than Schroeder. Schroeder and Scottie Barnes probably play and they match together their speed. Okay. Luka Doncic and Fred VanVleet probably plays at a similar speed, if that makes sense, as you're watching the game. You follow what I'm saying?
Luka and Jokic play at the same speed, similar to my speed.
Yes. Jokic, and you know what's great about Jamal Murray is that Jamal Murray can play at a slow speed, but he can also play at a fast speed.
Yeah.
Like that's a combination. That's a gift. You know, there's some players who have to just play at a fast pace.
De'Aaron Fox.
Yes. De'Aaron Fox, you know what? And what was nice to watch him last year, and I know he's hurt now, is you start to see him be able to score in the half court. Yeah. You're saying, oh, wow, he's picking.
He had to, because Sabonis does not play at a high speed either. So he's got to add that to his game.
Yes. So you're starting to see. So what I learned in that scouting experience was you start watching for the speed and pace of the team. Schroeder plays very fast. He plays fast. He plays at a pace. He pushes the pace. He plays downhill. And what he does, in my opinion, he does exceptionally well as a guard, as a lead guard, is he pushes the ball ahead. Because that to me that's a real skill. And I think Scottie Barnes benefits from that. I think Siakam benefits from that. The team OG, I think they all benefit from that because they play much faster. When you watch them this year, if you're comparing, it's not to say one is better or worse. It's just that when you see athletes who are all similar in the way they play, okay, then you begin to build a culture. You begin to have an identity. And that, to me, Mo, is the art of like one of the things that you try to look for with a team. So that was one of my lessons that I learned from that day. And I always look for similar athletes who play together. You know, like Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is an interesting athlete because he's a good athlete, a really good athlete, but he doesn't play fast.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But Jaylen
Brown
plays quicker.
And Jaylen Brown struggles more in the half court than Jason Tatum because you know what I'm saying? But I think Jaylen Brown is probably playing as fast as I've ever seen him play in his career this year. Jason Tatum, what you would hope with him is you want to take away all of the turnovers that drove you crazy in the half court because he likes to play in the open court more so than half court. So, you know, you try to strike this balance and you try to find players who can match that playoff basketball because the game definitely slows down. So, but it's one of the things you look for as you're scouting and you're learning to scout.
So let's just stick with the Raptors here for a sec. Siakam's $38 million come off the books this summer. OG is got a player option for $20 million next season, but it's likely he won't take it so he can test free agency. At what point in this season, if you're the Raptors, do you look to move these two guys to get somewhat of a return for them? Because it looks like there's not going to be an extension worked out with either of them. Or do you like the way things go in and you offer those extensions?
Well, I think both of those players are good players. So when you start talking about getting rid of players, my biggest question is always, how are you going to replace them? Siakam and OG those are legitimate rotational championship caliber players.
Well, Siakam's been an all-star. OG's on the border, like he could be a defensive player of the year combo.
So, now, again, I'm just going to assume here that we're going to all say Scottie Barnes is the centerpiece to this.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Scottie Barnes is coming into his own. At some point, Scottie Barnes is going to be up too. So let's assume that they're going to give Scottie Barnes somewhere in the upper echelon.
He's got this year and next year left on his rookie scale deal.
Okay.
And then they're going to have to give him the extension.
Yeah, they'll give him the extension. So whatever that extension may be, somewhere north of probably $40 million. Okay. So he's going to do that. Now, once you start paying a guy that level of money and you make that commitment to him, what are you going to surround him with? Well, the one thing we know that works in this league is experience. Okay. One thing we know is you look for chemistry. Siakam, OG, Scottie Barnes, Schroeder, those are really good players. So if you start getting rid of those players, who are you going to replace them with? Because if you're going to pay Scottie Barnes and he is the centerpiece, with that payment, with that commitment, now comes expectations. Mm-hmm. So I think now it's just about finding the right chemistry for this group with Scottie Barnes now as the centerpiece to this equation. Mm-hmm. That to me is what I'm looking for. Like, I agree with why those guys haven't signed yet. Why? Because the chemistry wasn't right. Right? Was it Fred VanVleet?
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse was, then they had DeRozan and Kawhi Leonard. And I mean, they've gone through a lot of changes up there. And this, to me, is the first time where it looks like they kind of enjoy playing with each other. I mean, you can tell that right away when you watch a team play. They look like they enjoy playing with one another. I mean, they had a big win there versus the Spurs. I think they were down like 20 points or so, and they came back and won that game. So I'm looking for chemistry and building around two things, right? I want a level of athlete with Scottie Barnes because that's his greatest attribute. I mean, he is a terrific athlete. And the second thing I want to do is I want to build around his versatility on both ends of the court. So I think OG, Siakam, and Schroeder and these guys are the right type of athletes. Now, does that mean they're the right type of players? I don't know that, because what for me, the determining factor of figuring out chemistry is what happens after you go through a losing spell, 3 or 4 games. Mm-hmm. That to me, that's the determining factor, right? When you win, everyone's happy. But when you lose, you find out a lot about who's who. Like last night, Mo, I can't believe this. I watched the whole Memphis Grizzlies versus Portland Trailblazers game last night.
Hey, 1-0 with Bismack in the starting lineup. How about that? Undefeated.
Yes. And I watched the game, right? One, because of Bismack. However, I was really impressed with Memphis' ability to lose like their first 5 or 6 games. Mm-hmm. And come out and play the way they played on the road. And that to me, Mo, is like, okay, this team has character. Now I know your guy, Marcus Smart, was sensational. Always. He was, Jaren Jackson was incredible.
Trying to stay out of foul trouble.
But you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
This goes to the Raptors. Did you see them play the Spurs the other night on Sunday night? And they were down, 20 plus?
Yes.
And then they come back and win it in overtime.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I always look for. Now, that to me is one of those wins that you say, okay, this has a chance to be a team. And I know
they put a beating on the Bucks as well.
Yeah. I've been on good teams. I've been on bad teams. This is the type of win for the Toronto Raptors that you say we can build on this. So I like they've had a couple really good wins early on, right? They beat the Milwaukee Bucks handedly, and then they turn around and come down from 20 on the road and win. So, this says a lot about this group. It says a lot that they're playing together. And, Mo, if they continue to do this 25, 30 games into the season, you might have something there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited to see. And we're going to be here breaking it down for all the people here at the Hoop Genius podcast. Later this week, we'll be answering your questions. Some of you guys have been asking, so make sure you're
I love that.
in the Discord server so that you can get your questions submitted into the Let's Hear From You segment. And we'll be answering those later on this week.
Hey, Mo, you know what we didn't talk about?
Go ahead.
I'm excited to see the James Harden show.
Oh, but by the time this comes out, we will have seen the James Harden show, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. So just hang tight with that one. Paul George has said in practice he's never caught so many lob passes. So Harden running point, I don't know. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how Russell Westbrook feels.
Well,
and more importantly,
I got to go now. Now I got to go. More importantly, okay.
Let's just see 1 month from now how many of their starting lineup are not doing load management. How about that? How about I don't care what it looks like until they prove they can play more than 1 month together? How about that?
Well, I'm just excited for NBA basketball, and I'm going to be watching the Clippers at the Knicks. Clippers Knicks, big game for both teams. This is a big game for the Knicks right now.
Mm-hmm.
At home.
At Madison Square. Shout out to Marlon. Marlon performed at Madison Square Garden last night. Shout out to
Yes, he
Marlon.
did. Shout out. I owe Marlon a call too. I got to give him a call. That's our guy.
Real hip hop. Real hip hop.
Yes.
And, Madison Square Garden.
So I'm looking forward to that game. I'm also looking forward to the Lakers game. I mean, I think that's going to be a good game too. Lakers at Miami.
Man, a lot of load management. A lot of load management. We'll be back breaking it down for you guys tomorrow. Make sure you stay locked in, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Most importantly, oh, by the way, if you want to see a breakdown of why I'm guaranteeing the Denver Nuggets win another NBA championship, check it out. I just uploaded it on YouTube. Yeah.
Did you say that?
Guaranteed.
Oh,
provided they're healthy. Watch the video, BJ. I'll send you a link.
Well, I don't need a link. I'm talking to the guy who made it. I don't. Okay,
yeah, it's a film breakdown.
You know what?
It's a film breakdown.
We might give us this. Ladies and gentlemen, we need a special edition. I'm calling for
I'll tell you what. We finish this episode. You watch the video. The fans, the listeners, the viewers watch the video, and then we come back and you tell me why I'm wrong.
I know how to tell you why you're wrong. This is an emergency episode. I'm calling for an emergency episode.
The Denver Nuggets will win the NBA championship because they're the best team in the NBA. They have the best player in the NBA. They've not lost a set from last year. Everything they've lost in Bruce Brown has been replaced, and you will see that in the video. And time will tell. But
it's been 6 games. How could you see 80? How are you going to condense? How are you going to condense 6?
I can see it. Just trust me. In June, we'll remember this. You tell me who's beating them in 7 games in the West. You just tell me that question. Name one.
Oh, okay, Mo, you already know my answer. I need what?
25 games.
And
the other thing you say is don't tell me after you see it. Tell me before it happens.
Before you see it, yes.
So I'm telling you now before we see 25 games.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's incredible that you see it, okay? I want that third eye vision. I don't have that type of third eye vision. I want to see a team go through the league, go around, play a team's couple, home and home, do some things, go through some. Let me see how the teams have settled into how they're going to defend the team. What's their weaknesses? What's their strengths? Da-da-da. And then I can give you an assessment. Or I think to me, it's an honest assessment. And that's not even saying that that's right. However, it's impossible to see this in 5 or 6 games.
It's impossible till it happens. We'll see. Provided they're healthy, I got no doubts. And
I
that's
know.
that.
I saw what's his name. He left the game last night. I hope he's okay. Jamal Murray.
Yeah. Yeah. Fingers crossed. But it's still early in the season. A lot of basketball left to be played, and time will tell. And hopefully,
I'm going to say this about them. I'm going to say this about them. Outside of Jamal Murray and Jokic, I don't know who else can carry, who's capable of carrying and being a consistent third or fourth scorer. Bruce Brown really stepped up and kind of slid into that role because Michael Porter Jr. wasn't
shaky.
He just wasn't a consistent. You got to be consistent. Like when you win a championship, you need consistency, right? There's no like, well, who's going to show up today? No, you need to know. There was no doubt what Jokic was going to do. There was no doubt what Jamal Murray was going to do. And then Bruce Brown just kind of slid in there, and he was fantastic for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, then the other players would fill in accordingly. By the way, Aaron Gordon was without question their best defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you had, to me, elite play on both sides of the ball because Aaron Gordon was taking on the other team's best offensive player, whether he was an interior player or on the perimeter. So I don't know who's going to be their third scorer, and that's what I'm concerned about. They're going to win their fair share of games. Why? Because of what you said, Jokic and Jamal Murray. However, you're going to need a consistent player who we can say we can count on. Not show up 1 or 2 games in a 7-game series, who we can count on. That I don't know yet. If there's and I can say that fairly in the first. Now, Michael Porter Jr. looks a little bit more aggressive than he did a year ago. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But they lost Bruce Brown and they lost my guy, Uncle
Jeff Green.
Jeff Green. And I think those two, their professionalism will be missed. I think their professionalism,
no doubt, in the locker room, no doubt.
Yes, no, on the floor. Those guys both played very well when they play. I mean, they really, they play well. Now, I'm not saying they can't do it. However, I haven't seen that guy that I'm saying that's 15 to 20 consistently. And if it's not Michael Porter Jr., who is it then? Because you're going to need Bruce Brown. Okay, it's a little early to be saying this, Mo, but you need unexpected contributions.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Brown was that for them. I don't think anyone at the beginning of the season last year said, hey, Bruce Brown was the guy. We like Bruce Brown, but I don't think any of us said we were expecting that version of Bruce Brown. Come on now. Can we at least say that? Can we at least agree on that?
I agree completely.
Okay. Now, until I see someone evolve, because Mo, that is the secret. That's the secret sauce.
Mm-hmm.
That's a secret sauce. Like, okay, I got Jokic, I got Jamal Murray, I got Aaron Gordon. Okay, Michael Porter Jr. Oh wow, I didn't expect this. Who's this Brown guy? like he was like, where did he come from?
Watch the video. Like, that's all I can say.
Yeah. I found watch the video.
I found one.
Okay,
but we'll see. I could be wrong. These things happen. But
you haven't scouted if you haven't been wrong. If you haven't been wrong, that means you never scouted. So that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're just joining the party.
Hey, man.
Well, maybe you haven't joined the party. Maybe you haven't been wrong.
I need to brush up on my horse terminology, words to Jerry West, and then I'll be fully involved at the party. I don't know about greyhounds and thoroughbreds and this and this and this, but, Anyway, you guys at home, check out the video on the Hoop Genius YouTube channel. BJ, I'm going to send it to you. We'll be back here tomorrow. We'll talk a little James Harden. We'll talk a little Nuggets. And most importantly, until next time, get buckets.